The Alabama Crimson Tide, some would say they are college football's most premier program and greatest of all time. And yet again, the Alabama Crimson Tide find them winning another national championship in 2020. But in today's video, and for the next couple weeks, I will be breaking down the schedules for each individual SEC football team going in alphabetical order. And of course, that starts with the defending national champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Next is Arkansas, going all the way down to Vanderbilt. It's going to be a great couple of weeks. I don't know what day specifically I'm going to put all of these out, but stick around if you are as big of an SEC fan as I am. I'm a huge SEC fan. I know you are. Even if you're just a fan of Alabama, do tons of Alabama content on here. Do tons of SEC content in total. This is the place for you, and this is a place you're going to want to be subscribed to and stick around for and get notifications for when content comes out, because we put out a lot of great college football content. And even though the season's over, it's not over for content season. We still got NFL draft coming up. We got early predictions for this, and then we get into breaking down spring ball, all stuff like that. College football is never over, my friend. So thank you so much for tuning into this video, guys. I appreciate it. And let's get in to the defending national champions and check out their 2021 schedule and what I have for my way too early predictions for them, looking at what games, looking at their schedule, looking at what games are wins, losses, toss-ups, and then best case and worst case scenario for the Alabama Crimson Tide this season. By the way, guys, something that all you Alabama fans would absolutely love, get your Catch the Trophy shirts in store right now, $15 only, all sizes. Go get yours. Hit the link in the description. I'll also drop a notification up there. Don't want to stick on that too much. If you want it, it's yours. Go get it in the store. But let's get into this 2021 schedule. They'd just been released. I'm filming this on Wednesday, January the 27th, the day that all the SEC football schedules had been released. And I went through them, and I was like, you know what? This is when I'm going to start my way too early predictions and everything like that. Because I was thinking about starting them a bit earlier, but it's good that we have an actual schedule out now, so we get to see how all these games line up. We already know home and away and all that stuff, but the actual dates and who you play when and your away road trips and all that stuff like that, it does affect certain things. And I think it's a lot better that we're doing it now. So let's just take a look at this Alabama schedule. By the way, I put a lot of time into putting together this schedule. So just look at it. It's amazing. You start off in Miami on, September the 4th. This game is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Then you go and play Mercer at home. Then you got Florida away, which is probably going to be one of the more premier games. I think that that's the absolutely stacked week, because I think of that week we have Florida, Alabama, we have South Carolina, Georgia, which I'm a big Gamecocks fan, so that's a big game for me, but most of you guys won't care. Then you have Auburn at Penn State, which is also a very interesting game, just two high-end programs. Then Alabama on the 25th goes home and plays the Southern Miss Eagles, Golden Eagles. Then you have Ole Miss. Then you go to Texas A&M, go to Mississippi State, then come home for Tennessee. Bye week is on October 30th. Then you go to LSU for November 6th. You're at home versus LSU on November 6th. You're at home versus New Mexico State on the 13th. You're at home versus Arkansas on the 20th. And then wrapping up in Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium for November the 27th. And then, of course, the date that Alabama fans will and should definitely be looking forward to is that December 4th date. The SEC Championship is back at a somewhat normal date than it was before. What do we have it? December the 19th this year. It was very late due to COVID, but you know, it is what it is with COVID. It's nice to see that SEC Championship back in early December. Even though it is in an indoor stadium, it just feels more right that we have that game in early December, first week of December. So the team, the players on this team, we all know the situation from last season. Like, you're losing. This is kind of like an LSU scenario where you're losing a ton of guys on this team, a ton of talent on this team. Mac Jones, one of the best, if not the best quarterback statistically and maybe the eye test wise in all of college football this season. Unbelievable season for him. Devontae Smith, maybe the greatest wide receiver we have ever seen in college football. I don't know. Drop below down in the comment section what you think. Jalen Waddle, another one of the greatest wide receivers in Alabama history, and Alabama's wide receiver U. No chance you could tell me any other school can hold the title of wide receiver U rather than Alabama. You're losing Najee Harris, the best running back in college football, in my opinion. Who else are you losing? Christian Barmore, Leatherwood. You're losing Dickerson. You're losing Patrick Surtain, one of the best cornerbacks in the country, if not the best. Who else? Dylan Moses, tons of talent lost for this Alabama team. But you look at some of the guys coming in, and you look at the guys who are going to be stepping up. First of all, taking over the quarterback position. There is no need to worry for this Alabama team. Yes, you're losing Mac Jones, but you said the same thing last year. Oh no, we're losing Tua. Who on earth is going to step in under Tua? Like, Mac Jones wasn't that good against Auburn. He wasn't anything special against Michigan. What on earth are we going to do with the quarterback position? Well, guess what? Mac Jones goes in and plays one of the best seasons that an Alabama quarterback has ever played. You have Bryce Young coming in, the best quarterback in his class. It's between him and DJ Ungalalele. I don't know if I say that right. I still haven't been able to pronounce that right. But I honestly think Bryce Young is a better quarterback. He got some action in this year. He threw a touchdown to Devontae. I remember that. I can't remember what game that was in. But Bryce Young, an amazing quarterback. You're going to have a good player at quarterback no matter what. Like, the guys that they pull in, this is a top of his class guy. I think he was the second best player in his nation of his class. He was the 2020 class. Bryce Young for Alabama, in my opinion, is going to be just fine. You look at the offensive tackle position. You lose Leatherwood, you lose Dickerson. Who on earth is going to step up in that position? Who's going to step up in the Alabama offensive tackle position or on the offensive line? Well, you just signed the second best player in the nation in the 2021 class, J.C. Latham from IMG. Would you rather take anyone from another school rather than IMG? By far the best high school football team that we have seen in a long time. IMG is an elite program, and this guy is an elite player. And then who else? Just 3 spots under him, 5th best player in the nation. You have Tommy Brockermeyer, 5th best player in the nation, 2nd offensive tackle. Like, these guys are 2 5-stars that are going to be absolutely huge for that O-line. You look at the running back position, yes, you're losing Najee Harris, but the talk of the town is, I've heard that Brian Robinson is looking at staying for next season. He's a decent running back. And when I say decent on an Alabama level. That could be really, really good for some other schools. So I don't think that the running back position is too much of a worry. It's not something that should keep Alabama fans up at night, but he's not going to be Najee Harris. I just don't think of that. But he still is going to be a very, very solid running back. And you have an amazing offensive line. You have to look at that. When you have an amazing offensive line like Alabama does here, the running game is going to come. It's going to come naturally. Wide receiver position. Oh no, we lost Devontae. We lost Jalen Waddle. What on earth are we going to do at the wide receiver position? John Mechie, a Canadian like myself, love John Mechie. He was one of the top wide receivers in SEC football last year. He played a great under role to Devontae Smith when Jalen Waddle goes out. Mechie had tons of yards. He had tons of amazing catches, and not to mention my favorite John Mechie play, the play against the Florida game, which obviously Alabama fans would probably agree with me, when Mac Jones throws the interception. I can't remember who it was on Florida, but Mechie just goes in there and boom, knocks the guy flat on his, I'm not going to say the word, but his rear end, you know what I was about to say. And just, I don't want to get demonetized, that's why, by the way. That was an unbelievable play for John Mechie. I love that kid. Amazing player. Slade Bolden, what about him? He's an amazing wide receiver too. Did a lot of great things for Alabama last year. And then you look at the recruiting class. Oh, well, look who we have here. Yet another 5-star wide receiver for the Alabama Crimson Tide, Ja'Cory Brooks, coming out of Bradenton, Florida. And guess what school he plays for? Guess what? What other school would be in Bradenton, Florida, other than the almighty IMG Academy? 25th in the nation, 2nd best wide receiver in the class. Alabama's always going to be wide receiver U. Nothing can change my mind. They are an amazing program. So this team, offensively, I think is going to be just fine. Defensively, yes, you're losing Surtain. Yes, you're losing Dylan Moses. Yes, you're losing Christian Barmore. But trust me, I've heard Josh Jobe is staying. That's something I've heard. He's going to be there still. It's going to be fine for Alabama. Recruiting class, again, you pick up guys every single year for Alabama, so you might not know the names under the guys who are the star players, but you have some talent in the depth chart everywhere. But you look at the recruiting class for this year, guess what? 17th best player in the nation, JaQuincy McKinstry, 5-star, best cornerback in the nation, stepping in for Alabama. This team recruits insanely well. Like, to be an Alabama fan, I get super excited if we have 1-star for one season. Like that, Alabama fans truly get spoiled and treated to the 5-star talent that they have in this program. It's unbelievable. Nick Saban, greatest recruiter of all time. I don't get how he does it, but he is something special. This defense, in my opinion, is going to be just fine. So let's break it down. This season's schedule: wins, losses, and toss-ups. What games do I have as automatic wins for the Alabama Crimson Tide? What games do I have as automatic losses for the Alabama Crimson Tide? And what games do I see as somewhat toss-ups? Let's get into that right now. So my win category, I have Miami, I have Mercer, I have Southern Miss, I have Ole Miss, I have Mississippi State, I have Tennessee, I have LSU, I have New Mexico State, I have Arkansas, and I have Auburn. My toss-up category. Now, Alabama fans, you have to take this toss-up category into perspective. Please do that for me for a second, because what I'm doing this for every single team, and I can't change it just for one team. So I have to keep it as toss-ups. What I mean as toss-ups, I want you to interpret this as upset alert games. Don't say toss-ups, upset alert games for that middle slot. That's what I mean by that. And if there's any games, because I can't come up here and just throw every single team into the automatic win category for Alabama. I think that's just absolutely insane on my part. I don't want to go into any season thinking someone is going to be automatically undefeated and they could just walk and sleep through their schedule. You play in Texas A&M, you play in Florida. Upset alert games, I think, is a very reasonable argument for these games. Texas A&M finishes, 4th in the country this year. You go to Kyle Field, that could be one of the greatest atmospheres in all of college football right there. Texas A&M is a great team. They have the advantage at home. Do I think Alabama's still going to win this game? Yes, but is there a better chance than any other of these teams that Texas A&M comes out with a win in this game? Yes, in my opinion. If any team's going to beat Alabama this season, I would definitely take Texas A&M. Florida, you go to Florida. Yes, Florida lost a lot of pieces, and I don't know how they're going to be able to reload from that. I don't know if they have the same depth that Alabama has, but you go to Florida. I think that's the main factor in this. You go to Florida in a charged atmosphere. Everyone knows the SEC championship. It was a close game against Florida, and that fan base is going to be charged for that game. Do I think that Florida has a better chance to beat Alabama than a bunch of other of these teams? Yes, I do. Do I think that Florida will beat Alabama? No, I don't. But again, I'm putting it up as an upset alert because I don't like Alabama traveling to Florida, and I don't like Alabama traveling to Texas A&M. So those are my two toss-up games. I don't even have Auburn as a toss-up game because they're going in with a new coach. The program, I don't know what's going on there. It was really, really rough. And guess what? Auburn just got offensive coordinator Mike Bobo from South Carolina. And if Auburn's offense is anything like what the Gamecocks offense was this season, with the exception of Kevin Harris, Auburn is going to be not a very good offensive football team. I can guarantee you that. So Alabama, chalk it up as 10 automatic wins, in my opinion. 2 toss-up games. Best case scenario, I think, is obvious. Alabama goes 12-0 in the regular season. Worst case scenario, I say Alabama goes 11-1. I don't even think Alabama... I have both of these as toss-ups. I don't even think Alabama will drop both of them. 1, I could see a possibility of that happening, 100%. 2, I just don't see it this year. I think the SEC has taken a huge step back, and as big of a step back that Alabama has taken back, I think that every other team has taken a step back. The only team that I see remaining somewhat consistent and that I feel somewhat good about going into this season, the Georgia Bulldogs. They keep around JT Daniels. They got a lot of talent still on that team. Yes, they lose guys. I think LeCount's gone. I can't remember if Cook and Zamir White are gone. I think Zamir White's gone, but Georgia, for the most part, I think is still going to be a very talented team next year. But everyone else, man, huge step back. So there's no one really who threatens Alabama this year, in my opinion. But best case scenario, you have Alabama at a 12-0 team. I'd say realistic scenario, you have Alabama as a 12-0 team. Worst case scenario, I say you have Alabama as an 11-1 team with this schedule. If you throw Georgia in here, I'd say you're probably looking at a loss because I do feel really good about Georgia. But other than that, I wouldn't say that Georgia-Alabama is an automatic loss, but I'd say that realistically, if you have those 3 games, especially if the game's in Georgia, if you have at Florida, at Texas A&M, and at Georgia, if you add that in there, I would say, yeah, Alabama, you probably look at realistically losing 1 game. It's really hard to go to those 3 road places and come out with a win in all those. Honestly, I didn't even remember this, but Alabama's played some close games in Mississippi State recently. So maybe you could see an upset alert there. Probably not, because that team was not good last year. If anyone threatens me after Florida and Texas A&M, I don't even have Auburn or LSU as that team. Ole Miss, I think they are just getting started as a program. I think that offense is just getting rolling. They have Matt Corral coming back. Yes, you lose Elijah Moore, but Ole Miss's offense, led by Lane Kiffin, I think you saw it last year, was a much bigger threat than some of these teams like Auburn and LSU. Ole Miss gave Alabama a run for their money in that game. So if anyone threatens me after Texas A&M and after Florida, I'm definitely taking Ole Miss. So again, I've said it. Best case, 12-0. Worst case, 11-1. Realistic, I'd say 12-0. 12-0. I just don't see anyone that I'd bet money on beating Alabama this year. So that is my way too early predictions for the Alabama Crimson Tide this season. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Definitely hit that like button down below. Like button. I don't know why I did this, because I was pointing down below. Hit that like button down below. Comment anything about the Alabama Crimson Tide or college football. Love to talk some of that. Definitely subscribe for some more SEC content, because we got a lot more coming, and you're going to want to hear the analysis for the other teams that you're going to be going up against this season in the SEC. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and definitely come back next time and roll Tide.